Mona, as you look at the scene, are you still convinced, as you were last night, that these protesters don't represent a majority of Egyptians? How do you see it? What is the impression publicly that a lot of people are saying about these protests?
Well, I think tonight's protesters are quite different from yesterday's protesters, Anderson. My concern is that yesterday's protesters were given enough room by the silence of President Mohamed Morsi and any clear sign from the Egyptian government, especially this, first revolutionary president that we've had since we got rid of Hosni Mubarak. This silence seems to have given some kind of green light as to, what is happening outside the embassy. Yesterday you saw mostly very right-wing fringe belonging to people who identify as Salafists. Today, as Ian said, a lot of the protesters, or some of the protesters who were there, are those who are the kind that usually are at other embassy protests. This is not the first embassy protest that we've seen in Egypt. But the point that I want to emphasize in all of this is that it's imperative that we have a clear and strong statement from the Egyptian government, which we have lacked so far. And what concerns me is that, as we saw during the Danish currency crisis, when we had the Mubarak regime basically position itself in the center and point to the Islamists that belong to the Muslim movement as the right-wing fringe, I'm now worried that our revolutionary president, Mohamed Morsi, is now doing the same thing by allowing people to claim a right-wing fringe. And this is the last thing Egypt needs right now. Our revolution has a long way to go. And the last thing we need to do is be derailed by a right-wing fringe in the U.S. Right now, we don't know who produced this film. And it's not clear who called for the protests yesterday. And for those of us in Egypt who care about the revolution and the message of the revolution, which was bread, liberty, and social justice, I don't see bread, liberty, and social justice being achieved, by a fight outside the U.S. embassy. So this is a time to concentrate on the goals of the revolution and to stop being distracted by people who don't care about the revolution and who care more about hijacking this revolution to claim their own political goals. We must not be derailed by a right-wing fringe minority.